Snow whipped across Elara's face. She could barely see through the storm. Her boots sank deep into the frozen ground as she stumbled through the forest, one trembling hand pressed against her stomach. Behind her, footsteps crunched against the snow. Slow. Heavy. She stopped. Hope flickered inside her. Darius. Her mate stood several feet away. Alpha Darius Blackthorn looked like a shadow against the white storm. His black cloak moved in the wind, snow clinging to his dark hair. His ice-blue eyes, once warm whenever they looked at her, now held nothing but anger. Elara took a step toward him. Please, listen to me. You have said enough. Her heart sank. Hours earlier, guards had burst into the great hall and dragged her before the entire pack. Letters had been thrown at her feet. Letters supposedly proving she had betrayed Frostfang. Letters claiming she had secretly met with Alpha Vale, Darius's rival. She had begged them to believe her. She had sworn she had never betrayed the pack. But Darius had looked at the evidence, then at her, and chosen to believe the lie. Darius, I never gave our secrets to anyone. I saw the letters. They were forged. I saw Rowan's seal. Someone stole it. Enough. His voice shook the trees. Elara flinched. Darius saw it. For a brief moment, pain crossed his face. Then it disappeared. She reached into her cloak. Her fingers touched the small wooden box she had carried all day. Inside was the gift she had planned to give him that evening. A tiny silver wolf charm. She had wanted to smile and place it in his hand. She had wanted to tell him they were going to have a child. Instead, she was standing in the middle of a deadly storm, fighting for her life. Darius, there is something you don't know. I don't want to hear another lie. Elara's hand moved to her stomach. Darius noticed. His expression changed. She swallowed hard. I'm pregnant. Silence. Even the storm seemed distant. Darius stared at her. What did you say? Elara stepped closer. Almost 3 months. His gaze dropped to her stomach. For one desperate second, hope returned. Then Darius slowly stepped back. No. Elara froze. Darius? His face hardened. Do not tell me that child is mine. The words cut deeper than the winter cold. Tears filled her eyes. You cannot truly believe that. You were meeting another alpha. I wasn't. You expect me to believe you now. I am your mate. His jaw tightened. Then you should have remembered that before betraying me. Elara shook her head desperately. I loved you. I still love you. Darius looked away. That hurt even more. I loved the woman I thought you were. Elara's breath caught. Suddenly, a sharp pain tore through her body. She gasped and doubled over. Her hand pressed harder against her stomach. Darius stepped forward instinctively. What is wrong? Elara looked up at him. Fear filled her eyes. Please, don't leave us here. Darius went still. She emphasized the word us. His eyes moved once more to her stomach. Please, she whispered. Whatever you believe about me, don't punish the child. Darius's wolf fought inside him. He could feel it. She could see the conflict in his eyes. For one heartbeat, she believed he would come closer. Instead, he turned away. Elara's knees weakened. Darius. He stopped. But he did not look back. You are no longer welcome in Frostfang. Her knees struck the snow. Darius, please. His shoulders became rigid. I cannot survive this storm. No answer. I am carrying your child. Darius closed his eyes. When he spoke again, his voice was cold. I don't know whose child you carry. Elara stared at him in disbelief. Then Darius began walking away. Darius. She struggled to stand. Don't leave me. He kept walking. She stumbled after him. Her legs were weak. The storm grew stronger. Darius, please. I forgive you for believing the lies. Just don't leave me here. His footsteps stopped. Elara's heart jumped. He slowly turned his head. For a moment, she saw the man she had fallen in love with. Then he faced forward again and walked away. Elara fell into the snow. She watched his figure disappear between the trees. Her mate, the father of her child, gone. The cold began creeping through her clothes. She tried to rise. Her body refused. Stay awake, she whispered to herself. Her eyes slowly closed. No. Please. She pressed both hands over her stomach. You have to stay with me. The snow fell harder. Her fingers became numb. Her breathing slowed. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled. Elara barely heard it. Her body became still. Then another howl echoed through the forest. Closer. Much closer. A large shadow moved between the trees. But Elara could no longer see who was coming. The last thing she felt was a pair of strong arms lifting her from the snow. And the last words she heard were, "Hold on. You and your child are not dying tonight." Warmth reached Elara before consciousness did. A crackling fire. The faint scent of herbs. Soft blankets beneath her aching body. Her eyes opened slowly. For a moment, she did not remember where she was. Then everything came rushing back. The accusations. Darius's cold eyes. The snow. Her hand flew to her stomach. My baby. Your child is alive. Elara turned sharply. A man stood beside the fireplace. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and dressed in dark gray. A thin scar crossed his cheek, and his amber eyes watched her carefully. Elara immediately recognized him. Alpha Rowan Vale. Her heart began pounding. She pushed herself backward. Stay away from me. Rowan did not move. If I meant you harm, Elara, I would have left you where my patrol found you. She stared at him. You found me. My warriors heard your wolf's distress call. I don't remember calling for anyone. You were barely conscious. Elara looked toward the window. Snow still covered the mountains outside. How long have I been here? 3 days. Fear crossed her face. My child. Rowan's expression softened. The healer has examined you. The baby survived. Elara closed her eyes. Relief swept through her. For 3 days, she had been lying between life and death. And the child Darius had refused to claim was still alive. A tear slipped down her cheek. Rowan noticed. He did this to you. Elara looked away. I don't want to talk about him. His patrol searched for you. Her head snapped toward him. Hope rose before she could stop it. He searched. Rowan's face darkened. No. The hope disappeared. My patrol crossed paths with Frostfang guards. They were ordered to search only as far as the eastern forest. Elara went still. Why? I don't know. But Rowan's expression told her he suspected something. Elara slowly looked down at her hands. Darius had not searched for her. He had left her in the storm. Then gone home. She swallowed the pain. He believes I betrayed him. Rowan pulled a chair closer. Those letters were forged. Elara looked at him. What? I never met with you in secret. I know that. I never received Frostfang's plans. I know. Rowan reached for a folded paper on the table. Then someone wanted Darius to believe otherwise. Elara's heart began to race. Can you prove it? I'm trying. Tell him. Rowan looked at her carefully. Do you want me to? Elara opened her mouth. Then stopped. She remembered Darius standing over her in the snow. She remembered his face when she told him about the baby. I don't know whose child you carry. Her hand returned to her stomach. No. Rowan frowned. No. Not yet, Elara. He had the chance to believe me. Her voice trembled. He had the chance to protect us. She looked up. He chose not to. Rowan said nothing. The following months were difficult. Elara remained in Mooncrest under Rowan's protection. At first, she planned to leave as soon as she was strong enough. But the pregnancy became complicated. The healer warned her that the cold had weakened her body. She needed rest, safety, time. So Elara stayed. She healed slowly. And every day, she thought less about returning to Frostfang. Rowan never pressured her. He gave her a home but asked for nothing in return. He never mentioned the false letters unless she did. He never spoke Darius's name. But sometimes Elara caught him studying old documents late into the night, searching for answers. Then one evening, nearly 6 months after she had been rescued, Elara found Rowan standing beside the fire. What did you discover? He looked at her. How did you know? You only make that face when you find something you don't like. A faint smile touched his lips. Then it disappeared. I traced the seal used on the forged letters. Elara stepped closer. And the seal was copied. By whom? I don't know yet. Can it prove my innocence? Yes. Her heart skipped. Then send it to Darius. Rowan remained silent. Elara understood. You already did. I sent a message to Frostfang weeks ago. Her face tightened. What did he say? Rowan looked away. Rowan, the messenger returned. And he was told the matter was closed. Elara stared at him. Closed. That was all. After everything, Darius did not even want to know the truth. Something inside Elara finally broke. But this time, she did not cry. She simply nodded. Then let it be closed. That night, she removed the Frostfang pendant from around her neck, the symbol of her life with Darius. She stared at it for a long time. Then she placed it inside a wooden chest and closed the lid. She did not know that 17 years later, her son would open that same chest and discover every secret she had tried to bury. The night Elara went into labor, another storm surrounded Mooncrest. She gripped the sheets as pain tore through her body. The healer moved quickly around the room. Rowan waited outside. Hours passed. Elara screamed, cried, fought. Then, just before dawn, a baby's cry filled the chamber. Everything stopped. The healer smiled. You have a son. Elara's tears flowed freely as the baby was placed in her arms. He was small, perfect, alive. She touched his dark hair. Then his tiny hand closed around her finger. Elara laughed through her tears. You survived. The door opened slightly. Rowan stood outside. May I? Elara nodded. He entered quietly. When he looked down at the child, his expression softened. Then the baby's eyes opened. Rowan became still. Ice blue. The same eyes as Darius Blackthorn. He looks like his father, Rowan said. Elara held her son closer. Then I will make sure he becomes nothing like him. Rowan looked at her. What will you call him? Elara smiled at the sleeping child. Lucian. Lucian. Rowan repeated the name. Elara kissed her son's forehead. Lucian Vale. Rowan's gaze shifted toward her. You want him to carry my pack's name? I want him safe. He may ask about his father one day. Elara's smile faded. I know. And what will you tell him? Elara looked down at her child. For now, she did not have an answer. Years passed. Lucian grew into a strong, intelligent boy. He was different from other children. His wolf appeared early. At 12, he could outrun grown warriors. At 14, he defeated Rowan's best young fighters. At 16, the elders began whispering about the strange power in his blood. But Elara refused to explain where it came from. She trained him to be strong. She taught him compassion. She warned him never to allow anger to control him. Lucian did not understand why. Not until his 17th birthday. That morning, Elara left for a nearby village to help a sick child. Lucian stayed behind. He was searching for an old training blade when he entered the storage room beneath their home. The wooden chest sat against the wall. He had seen it his entire life. His mother had always told him never to touch it. That day he did. The lock was old. It broke after one hard pull. Lucian lifted the lid. Inside were pieces of a life he had never known. A faded white Luna gown, a Frostfang pendant, letters, and a tiny silver wolf charm. Lucian picked up the charm. Something about it felt familiar. Then he unfolded one of the letters. His mother's handwriting covered the page. At first, he did not understand what he was reading. Then his eyes reached one name. Darius Blackthorn. Lucian frowned. He knew the name. Everyone knew it. Alpha Darius Blackthorn, the ruler of Frostfang, one of the most powerful alphas in the Northern Territories. Why had his mother written to him? Lucian read further. His expression changed. Then he found another letter. And another. His hands began to shake. The final letter described a storm. A woman abandoned in the snow. A child still inside her womb. Lucian read the words twice. Then a third time. His wolf began growling inside him. He left her. Lucian clenched his jaw. The front door opened upstairs. His mother was home. Lucian slowly folded the letter.
His eyes had changed.
For 17 years, he had wondered who his father was. Now he knew. His father was alive. His father was an alpha. And his father had left his pregnant mother to die. Lucian walked upstairs. Elara stopped when she saw his face. Her eyes immediately moved to the letter in his hand. The color drained from her face. Lucian. He held up the page. Who is Darius Blackthorn? Elara said nothing. His voice grew colder. Who is he? She slowly lowered the basket in her hands. Where did you find that? Answer me. Lucian. Is he my father? Silence filled the room. And in that silence, Lucian received his answer. His face hardened. He is. Elara closed her eyes. Lucian laughed once, but there was no humor in it. All these years. Please listen to me. He left you. Lucian. You were carrying me. Tears entered Elara's eyes. Lucian stepped away. His wolf was fighting to take control. Tell me I'm wrong. She couldn't. Tell me he came looking for us. Elara looked down. Lucian's anger deepened. He knew. She whispered. Yes. And he still left. Elara finally looked at him. I did not want you to grow up with hate in your heart. Lucian's eyes flashed. Then you should never have hidden the truth. He turned toward the door. Elara rushed after him. Where are you going? Lucian stopped. He looked back. For 17 years, that man lived his life believing we were gone. His voice became dangerously calm. I think it's time he learns what happens when the people you abandon survive. Elara's heart dropped. Lucian, no. But he was already walking away. Outside, the wind began to rise. Lucian stepped into the snow. His eyes turned silver. Bones cracked. A massive black wolf burst from the shadows. Elara ran outside. Lucian. The wolf paused. For one moment, he looked back at her. Then he lifted his head. A long, furious howl tore through the valley. And he disappeared into the forest. His destination was Frostfang. His purpose was revenge. And Alpha Darius Blackthorn had no idea that the child he abandoned before birth was coming home. For 17 years, Lucian had imagined the moment he would meet his father. He had imagined shouting. He had imagined blood. But when Frostfang finally appeared beyond the mountains, he felt strangely calm. The enormous fortress stood beneath the winter sky, surrounded by stone walls and watchtowers. Somewhere inside was the man who had abandoned his mother. Lucian tightened his grip around the silver wolf charm. He had one purpose. Find Darius Blackthorn, and make him understand what he had done. But Lucian did not enter Frostfang as Elara's son. He entered as a warrior from Mooncrest. A stranger. A competitor in the winter trials. That would give him access to the Alpha's fortress, without raising suspicion. At the gate, a guard stopped him. Name? Lucian Vale. Pack. Mooncrest. The guard checked his papers before stepping aside. Welcome to Frostfang. Lucian walked through the gates. His wolf stirred immediately. Something about the territory felt strangely familiar. Then he heard a horn. The winter trials were beginning. The arena was packed with warriors when Lucian arrived. He stood among the competitors, waiting. Then the crowd suddenly became silent. Lucian looked toward the entrance. Alpha Darius Blackthorn walked into the arena. Lucian's heart stopped. He knew that face. His mother had kept only one old portrait of Darius, hidden inside the chest. But seeing him in person was different. Darius was older now. His dark hair carried traces of silver, and a scar crossed his jaw. But his eyes were exactly the same. Ice blue. Lucian's eyes. His father's eyes. Darius looked across the warriors. Then his gaze stopped on Lucian. Neither moved. Something strange passed through Darius's expression. Confusion. Recognition. As though his wolf had noticed something his mind could not understand. Darius walked closer. Your name? Lucian Vale. Where are you from? Mooncrest. Darius studied his face. Have we met?
No.
The answer came quickly. Darius continued staring. You remind me of someone. Lucian's jaw tightened. Perhaps you have seen many faces. Darius said nothing. Then another warrior called for the Alpha's attention. Darius finally stepped away. Good luck. Lucian watched him leave. His hands curled into fists. You don't even know me. But you will. Lucian entered his first fight. His opponent was larger and more experienced. The crowd expected him to lose. Instead, Lucian defeated him within minutes. He won his second match. Then his third. By the end of the day, everyone in Frostfang was talking about the mysterious warrior from Mooncrest. Darius was watching too. That evening, the Alpha summoned him. Lucian entered Darius's chamber. Sit. He remained standing. Darius studied him. Who trained you? My mother. Darius's expression changed. What is her name? Lucian stared at him. Why? Darius's eyes narrowed. Answer me, Elara. The room became silent. Darius's face lost its color. Lucian noticed. So he continued. Elara Voss. Darius stood so quickly that his chair moved backward. Where is she? Lucian smiled coldly. Why? Darius took a step toward him. Where is Elara? Lucian could feel his wolf reacting. For 17 years, he had wanted to ask his father one question. Now, he finally had the chance. Why do you care? Darius stared at him. Lucian turned toward the door. Perhaps you should ask yourself that. He walked out. Darius remained frozen. Elara. The name he had buried for 17 years. The woman he had watched disappear into a snowstorm. Why was her son standing in his fortress? And why did the young warrior have his eyes? Outside, Lucian stopped beneath the moon. He touched the silver charm around his neck. He had expected revenge to feel satisfying. It didn't. Seeing Darius had created something he hadn't expected. Doubt. Perhaps his father had truly believed the lies. Perhaps someone had manipulated him. But Lucian wasn't ready to forgive. Not yet. Inside the fortress, Darius called Captain Theron. I want everything you can find about Elara Voss. Theron stared at him. After all these years? Darius's voice was firm. Everything. Theron nodded. But before leaving, he asked one question. Alpha, what if she survived? Darius went silent. His wolf growled inside him. She did. For the first time in 17 years, Darius allowed himself to consider the possibility. Elara might still be alive. And if she was, then the young warrior who had just entered his kingdom might be more than a stranger. He might be the son Darius had abandoned before he was even born. But neither father nor son was ready for the truth. Because someone else inside Frostfang already knew exactly who Lucian was. And that person was terrified he had returned. The next morning, Lucian returned to the training grounds. He expected Darius to avoid him. Instead, the Alpha was already there, watching. Lucian ignored him. He joined the other warriors and prepared for the next trial. But Darius could not look away. Every movement reminded him of someone. The way Lucian held his shoulders. The slight tilt of his head when listening. Even the way his eyes narrowed when challenged. It was too familiar. Darius approached him after the training session. Where did you learn to fight like that? Mooncrest. Who trained you? Several warriors. Darius studied him. Your mother? Lucian's expression hardened. Why are you asking so many questions about her? Darius hesitated. Because I knew her. Lucian laughed quietly. Did you? The question struck Darius. He looked away. I did. Lucian stepped closer. Then you should know she deserved better. Darius's eyes snapped toward him. What did you say? You heard me. For a moment, Darius's alpha presence filled the courtyard. Several warriors became silent. But Lucian did not step back. Darius's wolf reacted strangely. Instead of anger, it felt something closer to recognition. Darius lowered his power. Why do you speak about her that way? Lucian's voice became cold. Because some men hurt good women and spend years pretending they did nothing wrong. Darius stared at him. Lucian walked away. That night, Darius could not sleep. He kept remembering Elara. The night she told him she was pregnant. The look in her eyes when he walked away. He had buried those memories for years. Now they were returning, and they were accompanied by Lucian's face. Darius went to the old records chamber. Captain Theron was already there. I found something. Darius looked up. Theron placed the original search order on the table. This is the report from the night Elara disappeared. Darius read it. Then his expression changed. Who added this instruction? Theron pointed to the final line. Do not search beyond the eastern forest. Darius stared at the handwriting. He recognized it. Maris. Theron nodded. I believe so. Darius's hands tightened. Why would my aunt stop the search? I don't know. Darius looked toward the door. Find her. Meanwhile, Lucian had begun searching the fortress himself. He wasn't interested in treasure. He wanted answers. He found old records mentioning his mother. Then he discovered something unexpected. The forged letters accusing Elara had been created using Rowan's stolen seal. Someone had planned the entire betrayal. Lucian's anger shifted. Perhaps Darius had been deceived. But that did not erase what he had done. He still left her. He still knew she was pregnant. And he still walked away. Lucian folded the document and placed it inside his coat. Then he heard footsteps. He turned. Lady Maris stood at the end of the corridor. She smiled. So you finally found them. Lucian's hand moved toward his weapon. What do you know about Elara? Maris walked closer. Enough to know you should leave Frostfang. Why? Because this kingdom destroys people who ask too many questions. Lucian stared at her. Did you know my mother? Maris smiled. I knew exactly who she was. And you knew what happened to her. The woman's expression remained calm. Your mother made many enemies. Did you make one of them? For the first time, Maris's smile disappeared. Lucian stepped closer. I came here looking for my father. Maris's eyes flickered. You found him. Lucian froze. She knew. She knew exactly who he was. Before he could demand an explanation, Maris turned away. Ask Darius why he never searched for your mother. Then she walked into the shadows. Lucian remained still. His heart was pounding. She had confirmed what he already suspected. Someone inside Frostfang knew his identity. And they were afraid of what would happen if Darius discovered the truth. Later that evening, Darius entered the training yard. Lucian was alone. The Alpha approached. Who is your father? Lucian stopped. He had expected the question, but he wasn't ready to answer. My father is a man who abandoned my mother. Darius's face tightened. Did he know she was pregnant? Yes. Darius looked away. Lucian watched him carefully. Why are you asking? Darius could not answer. His wolf was already screaming inside him. Our son. Darius looked back at Lucian. The resemblance was no longer something he could ignore. He reached toward him. Lucian stepped away. Darius stopped. Your eyes. Lucian's expression hardened. What about them? They are the same as mine. Silence. Lucian's heart pounded. Darius whispered. Who are you? Lucian stared directly into his father's eyes. Then he smiled. You really don't know? He turned and walked away. Darius remained alone. But this time he knew one thing. The young warrior from Mooncrest was not a stranger. He was connected to Elara. And, if Darius was right, the son he had never met had just walked into his kingdom. And the truth was about to become impossible to hide. Darius barely slept that night. Lucian's face remained in his mind. The eyes. The voice. The resemblance to Elara. And one question he could not escape. Could he really be my son? At dawn, Darius summoned Captain Theron. Find out everything about Lucian Vale. Theron nodded. And quietly. I understand. Before Theron could leave, Darius added. Find out where he was born. Theron paused. Why? Darius looked toward the window. Because I think I already know the answer. Theron began searching old records. The first information was simple. Lucian had been raised in Mooncrest. His guardian was Alpha Vale. But then Theron discovered something strange. There was no official record of Lucian's father. Only his mother's name. Elara Voss. Theron's heart sank. He searched deeper. Then he found an old medical record. The date of Lucian's birth matched the approximate time Elara had disappeared. Theron immediately returned to Darius.
Alpha.
Darius looked up. Theron placed the record on the table. Lucian was born 17 years ago. Darius stared at the page. His mother? Elara. The room went silent. Darius's hand slowly closed into a fist. Where was he born? Mooncrest. Darius shut his eyes. The truth was becoming impossible to deny. His son was alive. He had been alive all these years. And Darius had never known. Then another thought struck him. Did Elara survive? Theron hesitated. We don't have proof. Darius stood. Find her. Across the fortress, Lucian had discovered something of his own. He found Lady Maris inside the old library. She was reading quietly. Lucian entered and closed the door behind him. You knew. Maris looked up. Knew what? Who I am. She smiled faintly. You are Lucian Vale. You know that's not the whole truth. Maris closed the book. Your mother should have stayed dead. Lucian's eyes hardened. What did you say? Maris rose. You have no idea what your blood means. My blood. She stepped closer. You think this is about revenge against one man. Lucian said nothing. It isn't. Maris's voice lowered. Your mother carried a secret that could change the balance of power between the northern packs. Lucian's expression changed. What secret? Maris smiled. You should ask her. Then she walked past him. Lucian grabbed her arm. Don't play games with me. Maris looked at his hand. Let go. Lucian released her. She leaned closer. Your father is already looking for the woman he abandoned. Lucian froze. You told him?
No.
Her smile returned. Your resemblance did. That evening, Darius entered the training grounds. Lucian was practicing alone. Lucian. The young warrior stopped. Darius approached slowly. I need to ask you something. Go ahead. Did your mother ever speak about me? Lucian's expression hardened. Why? Because I knew her. She told me enough. Darius swallowed. Did she tell you what happened that night? She told me you left. Darius looked down. She told you I thought she betrayed me? Yes. She told you she was pregnant? Lucian stared at him. Yes. Darius's voice broke slightly. And what did she tell you about me? Lucian stepped closer. She told me you chose to believe a lie. Darius closed his eyes. Lucian continued. She told me she begged you. Darius said nothing. She told me you walked away. A tear appeared in Darius's eye. Lucian had never expected that, but it did not soften him. Why didn't you come back? Darius looked at him. I believed she was guilty. You never questioned it? I was angry. That's not an answer. Darius lowered his head. No. Lucian's anger rose. You knew she was carrying your child. I know. And you still left. Darius's voice was barely audible. Yes. Silence. Lucian looked at him for a long moment, then said, Now you understand why I came here. Darius looked up. Why? Lucian's eyes hardened. To make you feel what she felt. Darius's face went pale. Lucian turned away. But before he could leave, Darius spoke. I am sorry. Lucian stopped. He had waited years to hear those words. Yet they meant nothing. You're sorry because you finally know who I am. Darius shook his head. I'm sorry because I failed her. Lucian looked over his shoulder. And if you had never discovered I was your son? Darius had no answer. Lucian walked away. That night, Theron found Darius in the council chamber. We found another document. Darius turned. Theron placed a letter on the table. This was hidden among the original evidence. Darius opened it. His eyes widened. It contained a confession from one of the guards who had delivered the forged letters. The guard claimed Lady Maris had ordered everything. But there was one final sentence. Darius read it twice. Then his face changed. She wanted Elara dead. Theron nodded. Why? Darius looked toward the door. I don't know. Then another voice answered. Because of the child. Both men turned. Lucian stood there. He had heard everything. His gaze moved from Theron to Darius. What did she know about me? Darius could not answer. Lucian stepped closer. Tell me. Darius looked at his son, then finally said the words he had been terrified to speak. Because I believe you are the child she was trying to destroy. Lucian's expression became cold. Then you have even more to explain. And this time, Darius knew there was no escaping the truth. Darius stared at Lucian. For 17 years, he had believed his child was dead. Now that child was standing before him.
Alive.
Angry. And carrying the same eyes. Lucian stepped closer. Tell me everything. Darius took a breath. I believed your mother betrayed me. You already told me that. I was wrong. Lucian's jaw tightened. Then who framed her? Before Darius could answer, the doors opened. Captain Theron entered with several documents. We found the original records. He placed them on the table. The letters accusing Elara were forged. The seal was stolen. The witness who claimed to see her meeting Rowan was paid. Lucian stared at the evidence. By Maris? Theron nodded. Darius's face darkened. Bring her to me. Maris was found in the council chamber. She stood calmly as Darius confronted her. Did you frame Elara? Maris smiled. You finally discovered the truth. Lucian stepped forward. Why? Maris looked directly at him. Because your mother was never supposed to give birth to you. Darius's expression changed. What are you talking about? Maris laughed softly. You never asked why everyone feared Elara's child. Lucian's eyes narrowed. Explain. Your mother carried ancient royal blood. Silence filled the chamber. Maris continued. Her family line was thought to have disappeared generations ago. If her child survived, that bloodline could challenge the ruling Alpha. Darius shook his head. You destroyed my mate because you feared her child? I protected this kingdom. No. Darius's voice became cold. You protected your own power. Maris's confidence disappeared. Lucian stepped closer. And you left my mother in the snow. Maris looked at him. I expected her to die. Lucian's wolf growled. Darius moved between them. Enough. Maris laughed. You think you can undo 17 years with an apology? Darius stared at her.
No.
He turned toward the guards. But I can make sure she never hurts another person. The guards seized Maris. As she was dragged away, she looked at Lucian. You think revenge will make you whole? Lucian said nothing. The doors closed behind her. The room became quiet. Darius turned toward his son. I don't expect forgiveness. Lucian's expression remained hard. You shouldn't. I know. Darius lowered his head. But there is something I need to tell you. Lucian waited. I searched for your mother after I learned the evidence was false. Lucian's eyes narrowed. Then why didn't you find her? Because Maris intercepted every message. Darius swallowed. I believed Elara was dead. Lucian looked away. For the first time, some of his anger began to weaken. Not disappear. Just weaken. Darius continued. I should have questioned everything before that night. Lucian looked back at him. Yes. One word. But it carried 17 years of pain. Darius accepted it. Then Lucian asked the question that mattered most. Where is my mother? Darius shook his head. I don't know. Lucian's face fell. Then a guard rushed into the chamber. Alpha. Darius turned. What is it? The guard held out a sealed message. It came from Mooncrest. Lucian's heart began racing. Darius opened it. His eyes widened.
What?
Lucian took the letter. He read it. His face changed. His mother was missing. She had left Mooncrest several days earlier after receiving an anonymous message. The message promised information about Lucian's father. Lucian's hands began to shake. She came looking for you. Darius stared at him. And someone took her. Lucian's wolf surged forward. Darius grabbed his shoulder. We'll find her. Lucian looked at him. You don't get to promise me that. Darius released him. Then don't trust my promise. He picked up his sword. Trust what I do next. Lucian watched him carefully. For the first time, father and son stood on the same side. Not as alpha and warrior. Not as strangers. but as two people searching for the same woman. The woman Darius had once abandoned. The woman Lucian had spent his entire life protecting. And somewhere beyond Frostfang's borders, Elara was waiting. But the person holding her captive had one final secret. They did not want her dead. They wanted her alive long enough to reveal the location of the ancient royal heir. And that heir was Lucian. The search for Elara led Darius and Lucian deep into the northern mountains. They found her at an abandoned fortress just before dawn. Darius entered first. Elara. No answer. Lucian followed. Then a door opened at the end of the corridor. A woman stepped into the light. Lucian stopped breathing. His mother. Older.
Thinner.
But alive. Lucian. He ran toward her. Elara caught him in her arms. For several seconds, neither spoke. She simply held her son. Then she noticed Darius standing behind him. Her expression changed. You. Darius could barely speak. Elara. She stepped back. Why are you here? To bring you home. She gave a bitter smile.
Home.
Darius lowered his eyes. I know I don't deserve forgiveness.
No. Her voice was calm.
You don't. Lucian looked between them. Elara touched his face. You found out everything. Yes. She sighed. I wanted to protect you from this. I needed the truth. I know. Darius stepped forward. Maris confessed. Elara's eyes hardened. So you finally know. I know enough to understand what I did to you. Elara looked at him. You didn't simply abandon me. Her voice trembled. You abandoned the woman who loved you while she carried your child. Darius lowered his head. I know. I begged you. I remember. You heard me. I remember every word. Elara's eyes filled with tears. Then live with it. Darius nodded. I will. They returned to Frostfang. The entire kingdom gathered in the Great Hall. For 17 years, the pack had believed Elara was dead. Now she walked through those doors alive. Whispers filled the room. Darius stood beside her. But he did not touch her. He knew he had lost that right. Then Darius stepped before the pack. 17 years ago, I condemned an innocent woman. The hall became silent. I believed lies. I allowed false evidence to destroy my family. And I left my pregnant maid in the snow. Elara lowered her eyes. Darius continued. Today, I publicly admit my failure. He turned toward her. Elara Voss was never a traitor. Then he looked at Lucian. And this young man is my son. The hall erupted in shock. Lucian remained still. Darius removed the Alpha's family crest from his coat. He walked toward Lucian. I cannot change the years I lost. He held out the crest. But I can acknowledge the son I should have protected. Lucian looked at the crest. Then at his father. He did not take it.
Not yet.
Darius accepted his decision. Suddenly, the great doors opened. Elder Rowan entered with several warriors. He carried an ancient scroll. Alpha, there is one more matter. Everyone turned. Rowan looked at Elara. The prophecy has been confirmed. Elara's face changed. Lucian stepped forward. What prophecy? Rowan opened the scroll. The child born from the lost royal bloodline will unite the northern packs. Murmurs spread through the hall. Rowan looked directly at Lucian. That child is you. Lucian stared at him. The room became silent. Maris had wanted him dead because she feared his blood. But now the entire kingdom knew the truth. Lucian was not merely Darius's forgotten son. He was the heir to a bloodline believed to have vanished centuries ago. Darius looked at him with pride. But Lucian's expression remained uncertain. He had come to Frostfang seeking revenge. Now the future of the kingdom rested in his hands. Then Elara stepped beside him. You don't have to become what they expect. Lucian looked at her. What should I become? She smiled gently. Someone better than the people who hurt you. Lucian looked toward Darius. For the first time, his anger did not control him. He walked toward his father. Darius remained still. Lucian stopped before him. I will never forget what happened. Darius nodded. I don't want you to, but I won't destroy you for it. Darius's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. Lucian shook his head. Don't thank me. He glanced toward his mother. Thank her. Elara smiled through her tears. The son who had returned for revenge had chosen something greater. Not weakness. Not surrender. Justice. And as the entire pack watched, Darius finally understood the truth. The child he had abandoned in the snow had returned stronger than the man who left him. But the greatest surprise was still waiting, because the ancient prophecy had not ended with Lucian. It had only begun. The great hall remained silent. Everyone was still trying to understand what had happened. Elara was alive. Lucian was Darius's son. And the heir everyone believed had disappeared was standing before them. But Lucian had one final decision to make. He looked at Darius. You want me to become your heir? Darius nodded. If that is what you choose, and if I refuse, then I will respect your decision. Lucian studied him. For years, he had imagined taking everything from his father. His title, his kingdom, his pride.
But now he understood something.
Revenge would not give his mother back the years she had lost. It would not erase the nights she had cried alone. It would not change the 17 years he had grown up without a father. So Lucian made his choice. I won't become Alpha because I'm your son. Darius waited. I'll become one because I earn it. A faint smile appeared on Darius's face. Then earn it. Months passed. The truth about Maris became known throughout the northern packs. She was stripped of her position and imprisoned for the crimes she had committed. The forged evidence was destroyed. Elara's name was cleared publicly, but she never returned to Darius's chambers. She chose her own home, her own life, and Darius respected that decision. He visited often, not as her mate, not as her alpha, but as a man trying to repair what he had broken. Sometimes Elara spoke to him. Sometimes she didn't. He never complained. He had finally learned that forgiveness could not be demanded. It had to be earned. Lucian remained in Frostfang. He trained with the warriors. He studied leadership. He learned the laws of the northern packs. And slowly, the people began to respect him. Not because of his blood, because of his character. One evening, Lucian stood on the same hill where Frostfang had first appeared before him. Darius joined him. You've changed, Darius said. Lucian smiled. So have you. Darius looked toward the kingdom. I spent 17 years believing I had lost everything. Lucian glanced at him. You lost something. Darius nodded. Yes. But you still have a chance to do better. Darius looked at his son. Do you hate me? Lucian was quiet. Then he answered honestly. I used to. And now? I don't know if I can call it forgiveness yet. Darius nodded. That's enough. Lucian looked toward the horizon. His mother was waiting for him somewhere beyond the fortress. The woman who had survived the snow. The woman who had raised him alone. The woman who had taught him that strength did not mean becoming cruel. Lucian finally understood her lesson. His father had expected a broken child to return seeking revenge. Instead, a man had returned. A man strong enough to confront the past without allowing it to control his future. Years later, Lucian would become one of the most respected leaders in the Northern Territories. Elara would stand beside him during his coronation. Darius would watch from the crowd, not as a proud alpha claiming his heir, but as a father grateful that his son had given him a second chance. When Lucian received the crown, he looked toward his mother. Elara smiled. Then he looked at Darius. For a moment, they simply stared at one another. No words were needed. The past could not be changed, but the future could. And that was the greatest revenge of all. Not destroying the man who abandoned you, becoming everything he once believed you could never be. Elara took her son's hand. Together, they walked toward the waiting kingdom. And beneath the full moon, the lost Luna's family finally stood together. Not because the past had been forgotten, but because they had chosen not to let it define them. And this time, no one was left behind in the snow. He left her to die in the snow, never knowing the child she carried would one day return and become the greatest legacy he had ever lost. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional Alpha and Luna stories filled with betrayal, hidden truths, revenge, and unforgettable second chances. This is Alpha and Luna Romance Library, where every broken bond has a story, and every Luna has a destiny. Until the next story, never underestimate the woman you thought you had destroyed.